first song that I sold successfully as a soca songwriter. It was a song about freedom,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
it's lyrical
wow.
song freedom. And
You
that's
wrote that?
yeah, that was the first song that I ever sold for another artist. Good friend better than pocket money. I love to see when my friends them winning. That song is really celebration of good friends now.
What is on your mind? Make we have a time. Hey,
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please remember to leave a rating and review. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and share this episode. Now grab your tea, coffee, or a glass of wine, and let's talk to Tings. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite self-improvement podcast, Let's Talk the Tings, where we discuss personal growth, music, travel, and film while encouraging you to live fearlessly and fabulously. This week, we are talking to Tings with singer and songwriter Jesse Stewart, more popularly known as College Boy Jesse. Hi, Jesse. How are
I
you?
am fine, I'm fine.
That's great. Great. So, thank you for coming to talk to Things with me today. I'm really looking forward to talking to you.
My pleasure.
And as an icebreaker, we begin each episode with our listeners' favorite segment, and it's called Dat Na Sound Safe.
Right.
It's not as scary as it sounds. It's just good fun. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read messages or social media posts that listeners sent in. And if you think it sounds crazy or a little bit concerning, you just say that not sound safe and explain why. And if you agree, you just say you agree and explain why. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Everyone always gets a little scared, so don't worry. All right. The first person said, me losing respect for you is worse than me being mad at you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds safe. I
Yeah.
think being mad at someone is subjective because, for different persons that looks differently. But when you lose respect for someone, I
Yeah.
think yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely deeper for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds safe. All right. The next person said, this man asked me how my day is going so far at 7:30 a.m. That's why I can't take some of you men seriously.
That not sound safe.
I
Yeah.
can't manage.
Yeah.
What the heck?
7:30 a.m. Wow.
How's your day going at 7:30 a.m. is
Unless he's in a
beyond
different
crazy.
time zone.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in a different time zone. There you
Australia or
go.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so, oh my gosh, I literally have tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
That is so crazy, but I believe it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that no sound safe. I agree. All right. The next person said, I remember when teachers thought that changing my seat would change my behavior. Surprise, I'm a clown over here too.
That's safe.
That's safe?
Yeah.
Were you a class clown?
Not necessarily, but I could
Okay.
understand it where teachers expect a personality to really change from a different seat, but you know very rarely okay, you move from the back of the class to the front of the class. Now you're
Yeah.
probably forced to pay attention, but your personality is still your personality. They're not gonna
Yeah,
interrupt you from talking to somebody on the side or talking to somebody behind or you know.
exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Exactly. I agree. Oh my God, that's hilarious. All right, two more. The next person said, I saw a post that said healers need to be with protectors, and it's absolutely right. If you're going to be loving, generous, and overly kind soul, the punctuation here is very wrong. So that's why I'm struggling. You need somebody that protects that love from the wrong people.
Yeah, yeah, that's safe.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
I agree. I think that a lot of times when you're somebody that, I mean, maybe I wouldn't use the word healer, but you're somebody that's just very kind and, like they said here, I think an overly kind soul, or maybe just overly giving.
Yeah.
If you're with a taker or someone that maybe grew up on survival, we talked about that on this podcast before, you're not really going to flourish in whatever relationship that is, because they're just going to be like, oh, you're giving, I'm going to take. Versus if you're with or around a giver, you're both going to water each other,
Yeah.
whether that's in friendship, business, relationship, whatever. So yeah, I think that this definitely sounds safe.
Yeah. 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 Agreed.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and the last one. Hmm. Ooh, I don't know which one to pick. Okay. Hmm. All right, I'll choose this one. So the last one, the person said, anytime someone does something weird to me, I work on myself, because what am I even doing that made you think that I would tolerate something like that?
Yeah, that's safe.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the statement that, we teach people how to treat us.
Yep.
Um, so I could definitely understand, yeah, from that perspective.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think, that statement used to kind of bother me a little bit, because I used to think, well, how is it my fault if
Right.
the person is treating me
Yeah,
badly? But I
exactly.
think the older you get and the more you really deep like what it means, if someone is treating you poorly and you're still around, or you still invite them to things, or you still tell them your business, or I don't know, you still support them in some way, then you're teaching them that what they did is
It's
not that
okay.
bad.
Yeah, it's
Because exactly,
acceptable. Yeah,
especially like like the previous person said, if they're a taker, especially if they're never held accountable, because then they're just thinking, well, if what I did was bad, you wouldn't be around me. They like
exactly.
rationalize it to themselves. You know what I mean? So I think that quote is perfect, but I always think it's like you have to really go through something to understand what that means, to teach persons how to treat you and to respond to negative behavior in a way that tells that person that can't happen again. You don't always have to say it verbally,
Yes, yes,
but your actions and just what you're willing to tolerate, because sometimes people will do whatever you allow them to do, like you
exactly.
said,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah. All right, see, that wasn't crazy.
That was
It
fun.
sounds scarier than it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fun.
Every time I say the name, people are like, "Oh my god, I thought Ash said this was a positive show."
Yeah, yeah. Catch
They're
catch
like,
us off guard, but it was cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love your song, Good Friend, with Mevan. Hi, Mevan, if you're watching. And all this time, I didn't even know Mevan produced it, and I didn't know that you sang it. It's just a song that I've heard all the time. I even have it on my phone. I'm shame. I'm shame. I don't know how to explain this. It's on my phone. I play it all the time. Like, literally, I would call it my anthem. And for some reason, the dots just never connected. But that's okay, because we're here. Soca music. Wow. Soca music is very important to me. I know that a lot of times persons that are, I would say, maybe a little bit ignorant to music might not think as a Jamaican.
Right.
I would really love soca like that. But because of how I grew up, soca was played all the time, right? So for me, I would describe soca as joy, energy, just celebration. But I also think there are certain soca songs that reflect deeper meaning. It's not always just jump and wave. I think
Right.
that's a misconception, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And I love that now the as my dad would say, the new age soca, is infusing different things. So you can have an artist that is telling you jump and wave and wind to the ground, and the same artist singing another song that's encouraging you to believe in yourself and go for your dreams. And it's balance, not
Yeah.
not to be confused with balance, but balance. But if you listen closely, I think that you'll hear something else underneath the rhythm, and it's really story, right? Like, it's vulnerability, it's healing, it's memory. I think that you're a Trinidadian soca artist whose music carries not only the sound of Carnival, but the lived experience behind it, because it's not Carnival 24/7 in Trinidad, although people believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
music goes on throughout the year. Some people have the belief that it is just a seasonal music, which I particularly don't understand, but it's not. It's music that is just like any other genre that is put out. I would even say at maybe a higher rate than a lot of genres because it's in demand, right? Like
Yeah.
people want to feel joy, people want to feel happy. And I think that you create songs that people don't just dance to, but that they feel seen by. In this episode, I want us to talk about just the emotional architecture behind soca or some of the songs that you've created. Maybe growing up in Trinidad, turning like your personal trials into music that uplifts others, and really the responsibility that you have to represent your culture through rhythm. So, the first thing I'd like to do, which I do with all my guests, is start at the beginning of your life, that is. So, when did you first realize that soca could be more than just vibes? Like it could hold story and emotion and all of those things that I mentioned.
I think that started when I was forced to write my own songs. So, yeah,
What?
yeah. So it was a situation. I started with Calypso first. I was probably like
Yeah.
7 years old. Um,
Okay.
my first year teacher, she wrote my first Calypso to participate in the school competition. Um,
Oh my
and from
gosh.
there is when, my parents saw that I did well, and my mom started to write my calypsos moving forward. So for a lot of years, songs were being written for me to compete in various competitions. And when I was
Yeah.
a teenager, probably like 14 years old, I was introduced
Mhm.
to a recording studio by one of the iconic calypsonians, Gypsy. Um, so he had his home studio, and the producer in his studio at the time, it was myself and a couple of my peers in music, the likes of
Mhm.
First Class, who's a producer today, Kern Rose, who's also a songwriter and producer today. We were teenagers in that studio. Um, and the producer at the time, he gave us a rhythm to write our songs to. So this was the first time where I was like, okay, what am I going to write about? I don't know anything about songwriting. Um,
Yeah.
it was the first time I had to really feel the music and be inspired on what to create on it. And people knowing my personality, I don't know, like just happiness was always what I wanted to write about. And happy was the first topic I wrote about. It wasn't the song that people knew me for years later, but it definitely was
Mhm.
the first song that I wrote about. It was nothing, and it was a soca beat, and it was nothing about trying to sing about jump and wave. Like I had peers who did their part on the project, and they wrote about things that were popular in soca, like jump, wave, wine, carnival, and festive topics. And for some strange reason, I just wrote about being happy. So from inception, writing about
Yeah.
real things was always something that was in me. And later on in my career, I started to write about the regular things, because we're trying to get that popular song for carnival parties, and we
Right,
straight
right,
into,
right.
yeah, we straight into writing on various topics. But looking back now to where I started even writing for other artists, and the first song that I sold successfully as a soca songwriter, it was a song about freedom.
Mhm.
um, and it's
Oh,
lyrical
wow.
song freedom. And
You
that's
wrote that?
yeah, that was the first song that I ever sold for another artist. And if you really listen
Wow.
to the subject of that song is freedom, but so it was like the perfect way to blend our festival, but yet still make it relatable to day-to-day freedom. And I now I get to realize that I've been very successful in writing topics about real things, but somehow finding the
Mhm.
balance that people could enjoy through the festival. So yeah, that is basically
I
like my
love that.
journey as a creative throughout the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And how do you think that growing up in Trinidad shaped the way that you hear and create music? Because there's so many, oh man, there's so many different facets of instrumentation in Trinidad. And Mevan and I spoke about it a lot,
Yeah.
like the drums and just different kinds of instruments. So, how do you think that influenced you in your creative process?
Well, I think, well, growing up, my parents, we traveled. My parents
Mhm.
they always wanted us to travel and see different cultures. But by traveling, it made me appreciate who we are more. And I always wanted to highlight, who we are in the music. So
Mm,
whereas a lot
I
of
love
people
that.
would stray towards a lot of the fusions, and they would stray towards,
Hmm.
bringing other influences together with our stuff, I felt like I just wanted to always highlight and emphasize who we are and what makes us unique for people to appreciate
Yeah.
it. And traveling opened my eyes to how people appreciate the things that we have here that we take for granted. So I think that definitely contributed to the song that I try to instill in the music. I will go towards a lot of songs that have the authentic feel of soca. You'll hear the brass lines, you would hear. So I attracted to that. I always wanted to create where it have that type
Mm,
of balance. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, so I guess that
I love
influenced
that.
a lot of my creativity.
I love that. And that's so interesting because my parents did the same thing. Like we traveled to so many places. And I think that deeper than music, I think that had such a profound impact on who I am as a person because
Mm.
not only do you hear different sounds and hear different languages and different dialects and things like that, but you also see different cultures. And then you're also adaptable to different cultures. And your brain, it's like your mind is open to different, in your case now, different sounds or different ways that a melody can flow,
Yeah,
because you've been exposed to that. So I think that's really cool. And it now makes sense, like, why your music has so much range
yeah,
because you're obviously exposed to all different kinds of music.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I love that. Do you think people underestimate the emotional depth of soca? And then if you do think that, how do you think that artists such as yourself can, I don't want to say persuade people because I don't know that that's your job, but can maybe provide more context for people, like so that they don't think it's just carnival because soca is so much more than that.
I think the community in Trinidad perceive the culture to be, well, the music to be more
Mhm.
on that jump on wave than the community outside of Trinidad. Because I feel like the consumers
Oh.
abroad, they consume
Mhm.
our music more than our people. That's just how I feel. We consume it
Yeah,
for 2 to 3
I
months,
could see that. Mhm.
seasonally.
Yeah.
Whereas the diaspora abroad and other communities, they would listen to it throughout the year. So our community would
Mhm.
only interpret it as this is the music for the festival, whereas
Right.
people abroad would listen it 365, and they would find the concepts and the songs that are
Mhm.
also relatable to other aspects of life, and not necessarily for preparation to go to a party or preparation to go to play mass. Or so I think they would
Right.
interpret it differently than the people here in Trinidad. People here in Trinidad would still
That
miss
makes so much
the
sense. Yeah.
ideals of some of the concepts that we actually like this would sing about, like
Yeah.
the deeper aspect of it. Like when you think about like voice have far from finish, she have cheers to
Ah,
life,
yeah.
I have live
Mhm.
your life, good friend, happy song. Like there's so
Yeah.
much of us do songs with global context,
Yeah.
but I feel like in Trinidad we would miss that. I mean, we still try to do music with those type of contexts, and I don't
Mhm.
know how much what we can do to build that awareness to somewhat make the music feel more 365, like 12 months
Yeah.
from just music that we listen to for the festival. I don't know what else
Yeah.
we can do. Um, Hopefully platforms like this kind of build the awareness, and now more
Yeah.
people see it in a different light. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's just my take on it.
I think Voice's song, your song that you named, those are all great examples of songs that are in heavy rotation. Those songs are double platinum on my phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So it's not just like one season, but I think that it's kind of twofold because on one hand, I'm sure you feel good that persons look to your music like to feel happy and just to forget everything in the world and just focus on joy, right?
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there's more depth to it. So that's why I asked that question because it's not even just emotional depth per se, but just, I would just say depth in general. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, you just sometimes you want to listen to a melody that is soothing, but that still has a message.
yes,
So maybe you don't want such like a rough melody that's telling you, get up right now and go. Maybe you don't want that,
yeah,
but you want something a little, little nice, but it's still saying, hey, remember, say, you're on a bread back. Okay. So get up and, go and do your thing.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that I think that's just really a hard question to answer. I know I asked the question, but the more you explain, it's difficult because there's been so many generations of music, and we just live in a society now where, especially our generation, we have social media, so everybody has an opinion and everybody's an expert, and like there's just so much dialogue. But I do hope that podcasts like this and just persons educating themselves, really, that they can go back into the catalog and listen to persons like Mighty Sparrow and
yeah,
Lord Kitchener and those type of foundational
yeah,
persons in calypso soca, and really listen to what they were singing about. Like, just because of the way that they sang it, and their stage presence, it may seem like it was all fun and jokes. But if you really listen to the lyrics that they're singing, you'll realize there's more to it than
yeah,
that. So I think the goal is for persons to listen to soca on a deeper level,
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
say.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
Yeah.
I think we're in a good place where the genre is now seen as an
Yes.
escape from reality. I personally would like my brand to be that. I want people to see College Boy Jesse as an escape. I'm going through whatever. I could listen to him and
Yeah.
feel good, and it could now
Yeah.
take me to a new place in life where I would like to be or how I would like to feel. Um,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so I
love
think
that.
that's the direction.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful. How do you think that your relationship with soca has changed you or grown you personally?
Wow. Um, Change. Oh, that's a. I think it changed my relationship with soca has changed for the past since 2019.
Oh, okay.
So before, soca was like a part-time thing for me. I was, working in the corporate world. There was a period where I was putting out music. I was also
Mhm.
playing football for our national football team. And
What?
also in school, pursuing my degrees.
Wow.
So soca was
Wow, that's
like
amazing.
on the side something that I would do because I enjoy it, and I was
Mhm.
trying to battle, the career path. And
Yeah.
so after graduating, I went into the corporate world, and then now it became something where I was just juggling corporate and soca. But from 2019 to now, my relationship with soca is full time. Um,
Okay.
it's 365. I commit all aspects of my life towards developing, my brand within the business
Yeah.
of soca.
Yeah.
So my relationship definitely changed throughout the years, in terms of that commitment. And
Yeah.
I guess it's a situation of what you put into it is what you're going to get. And I must
Absolutely.
credit, I have friends and colleagues and who are mentors to me in the business. And I must come in and give thanks to Mr. Killa from Grenada, who was
Oh,
who
wow.
was that person who told me, Jesse, what you give is what you're going to get. And at that time, I
Mm.
was working, in the corporate world, trying to juggle things and is
Yeah,
and
trying to
that is different.
balance.
Yeah, that was he told me that was May 2019. for Atlanta Carnival, where I took vacation from work
Wow.
to go to Atlanta Carnival to perform. And
Yeah.
he was like, "You're juggling work, you're thinking, but you're losing on opportunities here." He was like, "You cannot give, you cannot give half and expect to get 100%. You have to give 100 to
Mm.
get 100." And this is
Wow.
when that was
Yeah,
a turning
it's
point
true.
for me. I went back home.
Mm-hmm.
That was month end of May, so June I sent in my
Mm.
resignation, but I had to work for the entire month to prepare the person who was going to replace me. Um,
Yeah.
so I work June, and then first week of July, that was the end of
Mm.
me and the corporate world from then to now. Um, so that was the moment of the change for me with my
Mm.
relationship with Soca.
Wow. 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 Well, big up Mr. Killer for
Yeah, big
sure.
up Killa, Killa for sure.
Because that is sound advice, I just think, for life in
Yeah,
general. You really can't actualize your full potential if you're not giving it 100%. But I also get the position that you were in, because it's like you have bills. I
yeah,
mean, this reality, right? So
life.
it's right. Like, it sounds great to say, you know what, I'm going to quit. And, like the movies, throw the paper in the air and just go off into the sunset and live your dreams.
Yeah,
But you also have to be responsible in a sense. So it sounds like that's what you were trying to do, like
yeah,
be responsible, but also live your dreams. But I think ultimately you made the right decision, because at the end of the day, you can always get a job,
yeah,
right? You have your subjects, you have your degree, you have your experience. I see how it probably took you a while to figure that out,
yeah.
but I'm sure ultimately you made the right decision. You feel
Yeah,
like
I
you made the right
lived, I
decision, right?
lived, I lived seeing those past opportunities, like opportunities miss. I remember being in work, and you're hearing the
Mhm.
radio in the office, and I'm hearing my peers being interviewed and promoting their music. And while I'm at the desk, I remember booking promotional radio opportunities and having to take my lunch break and go and do them.
Mm.
Changing in the car. I would be in the car driving to
Jesus.
the interviews, changing my clothes in the car, getting there,
Oh
doing
my
those interviews,
God.
then change back into my work clothes and get back on my desk. I remember those times. I remember I'm writing songs.
But just you were Superman, Clark
It was
Kent, and then
crazy.
back to the Cape.
Yeah, yeah, it was like that. So a lot of people really didn't know that I was playing these both roles. I remember
Wow. Oh
writing
my
songs
God,
for
man.
artists, and the artists want the
Hmm.
song now, but I'm in
Jesus.
office, and I have to now leave my desk and go in the car, finish the song, send a voice note. I couldn't even send proper demos. I had to send voice notes
Mm.
of the melodies and the lyrics because they need their song now to record and get it
No.
out. So it's like all
Yeah.
these things, trying to juggle. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Oh my gosh. See,
yeah.
people don't know these things.
Nah, nah.
People do not know these things. And that is why we're here. That's so amazing, though. I mean, that just shows your passion for it, really, because, we laugh and joke, no, but I'm sure that was hard to balance, because I'm sure you still wanted to be good at your job, but
Definitely.
you still didn't want to drop the ball, like you said, providing whatever you needed to for the artist at the same time.
Yeah,
So having to do all that and still, like, I'm sure, have a life and
yeah,
still get sleep.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. So would you say that you felt like a sense of, I don't know, calm or relief when you finally resigned, because now you could really focus on your passion?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely felt that
Oh, I
relief
love
of
that.
now I could focus on, one thing for the first time because of
Yeah.
growing up, our parents had us very busy, always trying to
Yeah.
juggle sport and academics and then me with music too. So for the first time in life,
Yeah.
I had less things to focus on and I felt like I could have give more. And yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's unbelievable. And one more question with that. Do you, or have you had any moments where you wish you would have left earlier, or do you think that you left at, looking back now, you think you left at the right time?
I definitely had that feeling like I should have, taken the risk a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But then, you look at it from a different angle, saying that, these experiences now prepared you for a lot of things that I'm dealing with now. So like working in the
Yep.
corporate world, it provided that experience for me to know as not just as an artist, but as an
Mm-hmm.
event promoter. And now I have a
Oh.
section also with a mass band in Tobago Carnival. So that
Oh.
experience prepared me to manage, the businesses that I'm involved in music.
Yeah.
So when I look at it from that angle, it's like, yes, I should have, did more with music earlier, but then I would have not had the opportunity that I have with the corporate world that providing other, support for what I do now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so beautifully said because I'm somebody and I say it's on here all the time. So my listeners are probably tired, either tired or inspired by me saying it again. But I really believe in God's timing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just a quote for me. I think I've seen that. Oh gosh, I've seen that in my own life. I've seen that in the lives of persons that I love and care about, just how God puts us in positions that we think might be rejection, or we might question, or we might say it's the perfect scenario. Like, why not now? But then when the time comes, you realize, oh my gosh, thank God that didn't happen 3 years ago. I wouldn't have been ready,
Yeah.
or I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to articulate myself in this manner, or I wouldn't have been able to write this hit song because I hadn't gone through
The
this thing that
experiences. Yeah.
happened within that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Inspiration. Yeah.
I love
Sure.
hearing stories like that because although, yes, you might think, oh, I should have left earlier, you took the words out my mouth. You were able to then reconcile, wait, but because I stayed there, because I had that experience, I was now able to use what I've learned and apply it to other aspects of my life
Yes.
as well. Right.
For sure.
I love a full circle
Yeah.
moment. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah. 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 For sure.
All right. So when persons listen to your music, what do you hope they feel, either during or after listening to your music?
Yeah, I think my style changes with each song. So each song
Okay.
caters for a different experience. But
Mm-hmm.
generally, I just want people to see fun. I just want people to see fun and feel fun. And in that moment, like really create that escape.
Yeah.
So as much as each
Yeah.
song would speak on something different, I want the core of it should
Mhm.
reflect that type of emotion. Just fun,
Yeah.
feel good, and escape from sad times in life. So a lot of
Mm.
songs I like to introduce concepts with our realities, but then create that high of, all right, even though I'm experiencing this, in this
Yeah.
moment here, I am going to feel good. I'm going to feel,
Mm.
something else. So like you get a reminder of your reality, but then it take you on a high of, you know, feeling good
Ah, I
about
love
yourself,
that.
feeling good about the moment,
Yeah.
looking at all the other positive things that we should be grateful for.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, generally that is what I want the listener to feel with my music. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so before we get into our final segment before my thank you, I want to ask you about a couple, or I should say a few, of some of my favorite songs of yours, right? I'll save my most favorite for last, of course. So, Worry Less. What was, I guess, like, what was the story or the concept behind that song?
Right here, the beautiful thing about Worryless,
Yeah.
Worryless became the first soca song that I have
Oh.
performed that I
Hmm.
didn't write. So this song was written by a
Oh,
guy
wow.
who I never met, and
Stop it.
yeah, I never met the
What?
person, and he wrote the song, and he sent it to
Yeah.
Mevon, and Mevon and a guy came called Bion, who from KVG. They are
Uh-huh.
two different producers, and they
Okay.
co-produced the project together. So they got the song from the
Mm,
guy, and
uh,
immediately they saw me being the voice of the song because the message of the song
okay.
reflected my energy. Um, so
Ah,
yeah, that
I
was the
love that.
first song that I don't know what inspired
Wow.
the writer. I don't know if he was thinking about
Yeah.
me while writing the song, but when they sent it
Yeah.
to me, I was like, yeah, this is definitely my vibe. Party more,
Yeah.
less. Yeah.
I love that. And you know what's so amazing is that, and I've told Mevon this several times, but that ability that he has, like to hear persons on a song, that's on a small thing. It's not just a surface level, like, oh, this person would sound good. Maybe. To me, from what I've seen or heard, every time that he thinks this person, it works perfectly because I could not tell that this was the song that you haven't written.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't have chose it if that was the case. I just knew because this is so, like you said, this sounds like so you. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
So for him to even know like this is for him, I think that's just so amazing and it just shows just the skill that you all have as producers, writers, musicians to know these things. Again, these are things that people don't think about. You know what I mean? Someone listening to this, like me, just probably thought, oh, this is a song you wrote about wearing less and partying and no big deal. But,
yeah,
there's a whole, I don't know, like, there's a whole group of you behind it that come together to make these songs sound the way that they do.
yeah.
And I think like that's really wow, that's really incredible. I would have had no idea that you did this. That's crazy. Crazy. Okay, so you talked about it earlier, but Live Your Life.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
That was produced by DJ Private Ryan, and
Mhm.
that song was inspired by something real. So I won the Soca Monarch in 2020, and
Mhm.
now the cash prize is public knowledge. So
Mhm.
at that time, I had friends who I knew for a long time since I was probably
Mhm.
12 years old. I've known this person, so they approached me to get into a business venture, and I would have invested some money behind this business, and I
Yeah.
was scammed, unfortunately.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so that
gosh.
definitely kind of broke up that relationship that I had with that person.
Whoa.
It was the
Yeah.
first time. It was the biggest heartbreak I've ever experienced. I've never experienced a
Jeez.
heartbreak like that because you
Oh
put
my
all your trust in
gosh.
this person, thinking that it's in your best interest, and then to
Yeah.
feel you know that moment of being scammed. So I
Mm.
basically just transferred all that energy into writing. So when Ryan sent the music, is what inspired the full concept of that song. Live your life,
Yeah.
don't study them. It's not about the likes on the Instagram. Live your
Mhm.
life. Them not put no food in your kitchen, and then you talk about behind
Hey,
your back. Some of them does it.
back up.
So like if you listen to the story of the song, you
Yeah.
see that you know it's real. Some people, it's just talking about people in general, people that you might think for you, not for you, people bad talk you, but you just have to
Mm.
live your life and don't study them. So it's definitely a deeper message in there, but it was
Yeah.
inspired by my reality.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that, but unfortunately, like you said,
Yeah, we live and
that's
we learn.
live and you learn. And also, it's funny, we talked about it in the Datna Sound Safe segment, givers and takers, right? And what's unfortunate is when you're a genuine person, I don't know you personally, this is our first time talking, but you feel a vibe from
Yeah,
certain persons and your reputation precedes you, right? So when you're a kind person or you're a generous person, and someone sees that you've come up on an opportunity, in this case money, and you have somebody like that you then find out was looking at you as like as an opportunist, right? So was looking at you
yeah,
like, oh, this is somebody that we can take from or whatever. It's really heartbreaking, as you said, and disconcerting, and makes you not want to trust anybody,
yeah,
but
definitely.
definitely, right? But you were able to translate that into your music as a form of therapy for yourself. And then, as I said before, there's so many persons that have gone through things like that that can then listen to that and, feel empowered or feel like, oh, wow, they're not alone. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
instead of harboring that or feeling down about yourself or letting that build up in anger, because stress causes anger, and anger can cause health problems and all that stuff, and that's not hurting that person, that's hurting yourself. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like, it's unfortunate those things have to happen, but I'm sure now you look at people a lot differently, right? Doesn't mean that you're
definitely.
holding malice or anything, but
Yeah,
now I'm sure you look at people in just in a different way or deeper, or maybe just before you make certain big decisions with anyone, because the sad reality is you just can't trust people. I
Yeah,
mean, you find some that are really trustworthy and that, you know, you don't even have to fathom they do something like that, but
yeah,
that's the exception, unfortunately, and not the rule, you know?
yeah.
So,
I definitely learned from that experience. You know what I mean? And now, of course,
yeah.
we are a lot cautious. With how we deal with people and how we manage, business on our whole. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. All right. So, my final question is my song, Good Friend. How did that come about? I want to know all the details because that's my favorite song ever.
Yeah, good friend is like how to explain it, boy. So whereas live your life or saying one thing, good friend
Mhm.
is now showing appreciation,
Ah,
for
yeah.
the friends who I have literally witnessed throughout the years. I've been on their journey to see they're toiling, and putting in the work. And then
Yeah.
when they finally make it, is a celebration, a genuine celebration, for all
Genuine
of us. Yeah,
keyword.
a genuine celebration.
Yeah.
Growing up, well, in my university days, I would have
Mhm.
had other friends who we've been through trials, trying to finish school and then also participating in sport. And so I've seen firsthand the type of work behind the scenes. I've had
Mm.
peers also who played national football, also played professionally across the world. And so I've
Yeah.
seen the hard work, the sacrifices. Even, our gold medalist, Kishon Walcott, being a close friend of mine, I've seen and I've known some of the stories behind the scenes of the type of dedication and commitment towards what we do. So when you actually see the result of it all, is like,
Mm.
yeah, good friend better than pocket money, and then you talk. I love to see when my friends them winning, cause I was there to see. So it's like you're there to see the journey. So that song is like really
Yeah.
celebration of your good friends now, better than pocket money, and especially the ones who dare to fight for you and sacrifice for you, to see you succeed. That level of genuine love and support. Yeah. So that inspired,
Yeah.
the message behind that song.
I love that. I love that. And like I said, I mean, oh, I think that it's such a contrast, and I didn't even do that intentionally, but you have persons like that first friend that clearly wasn't really your friend, you
Yeah.
know? But then the beautiful part is you have so many more friends that are
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
latter. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
I
it's like
agree.
have to focus on that.
Yeah, for sure. I've had friends who invested in my career, and
Mm,
so that song really speaks to that. When I entered, Soca Monarch, I had friends. My performance, for
mhm.
presentation and the production of my performance was very
Yeah.
expensive. And
Mhm.
remember, that was I literally just left my full time job and just pursuing music
That's
100%.
right.
So to be able to
Yes.
afford what I did, I couldn't have done it. Is having friends, having family
Mhm.
who sacrificed to support my career, and
Yeah.
that's what kind of really made that message stand out and feel real to me. Good friends better than pocket money, and I feel blessed
Yeah.
to have people like that in my circle, and yeah,
This first sign of you acting weird or saying anything weird or making me feel uncomfortable, or I find out you're talking about me or any, I'm gone. I don't have any
yeah,
speech. I don't have none of that. May the Lord be with you. I'm gone, because to me that's dangerous. I think a lot of times those type of friends don't even realize they don't even like you. They're just wanting to be around you for whatever the reason might
yeah,
be. It could be the
yeah,
smallest thing. It could be something that you don't even think is a big deal.
yeah,
But truthfully, by how they treat you, you recognize, and it may take you 10, 20, 30 years, but you recognize, wait, you don't want the best for me.
Yeah,
Like you don't, you know what I mean? So you don't want to be around those persons anyway, but then you have some friends that maybe you met later in life that would do anything for you, like you said, would help you with your stage things, will, support you, whether it's monetarily, whether it's just saying, "Hey, great job." And you said a key word, genuinely. I would just caution anyone listening or anyone that's been through this, because this is a universal thing. Just be wary of people and be wary of, I'd even say, how you feel around certain people. I think
yeah.
looking back on my life, that's something that I wish I paid more attention to. All right. So for our final segment, I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions, and I would love for you to answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna pay
All
attention,
right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to sit up straight. All right. What is your favorite Trinidadian food?
Pilau.
Really? No one has ever said that. I have not tried that yet, but I heard it's so good.
Pilau with coleslaw. I could have that every single day of the week.
That
That's just
sounds
my favorite
good.
from forever. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I have not been to Trinidad yet, but I told Mevan, I told Brave Boy, I told Chandra, and now I'm telling you. You see, when I come there, I want a whole food tour, like a long table and all the food, like in the movies where the kid like runs out and there's still all this food on the table. That's me, except I'm not running. I'm eating everything. Okay?
Yeah.
Because it sounds so good. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Trini food is so good, but I've never had it in Trinidad. So I feel like
Right.
it will be extra good in Trinidad.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Sure.
Who is an artist that you admire in soca? New school, I guess, and old school.
um, Old school is a strange thing with old school. I mean,
I know that's so hard. Subjective.
yeah. Ronnie McIntosh for sure.
Oh, okay.
Um, Even like, I mean, Alison Hines. I loved that era too with Square One, and I love
Yeah,
Edwin Yearwood. Definitely Edwin Yearwood. Tony
yeah,
Prescott.
yeah.
In terms of, yeah, old school soca, that would
Mhm.
be, yeah, I would listen to that still to this point. I love that
Okay.
era of groovy soca, to say. Um,
Ah, okay.
and new school is a strange thing because we have, from, I don't know from what era, what year we would consider
Okay,
new
yeah,
school.
let me break it down. How about, because there's just too many to name. How about an artist? Mm, an artist from, let's say, the 2000s. Is that
Right.
does that narrow it down?
I think Marshall's still there within that era from 2000s come to now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for
a lot of
sure.
the artists who I've worked with throughout the years, like I love Lyrical's music too. I love like the younger ones like Jimmy October. I love
Ah, okay.
his impression
Nice.
of new school soca.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who else? Who else? Who else? Pretty. All my peers voice is up
Yeah.
there too.
Yes,
Um,
yes. He's
yeah,
amazing as
so I think
well.
that kind of rounded it off. Yeah,
Around the
like,
top. Okay.
yeah, Jimmy October's new approach. I like that.
Yeah.
I love, because
Nice.
more of the groovy side of things, I pay attention to those artists from the creative side of it. And then I look at
Yeah.
artists from two different perspectives, from those who
Ah.
create really good music, and then from
Mhm.
those who could actually really perform good music. So
Oh,
there's
yeah, that's important
sometimes
too. It's
the
not just
performance side is totally, yeah, different. There's those who really great at performing, and then
yeah.
there's those who really great at creating like a good sound of, like, Kes music is great groovy songs too. So I love Kes music too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I know these are hard for you guys because
Yeah,
there's so
yeah, yeah.
many.
Yeah, so many to choose from. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more difficult. Okay, a couple more. What's a place or name a place in Trinidad that inspires you?
Inspiration, boy, inspires me.
Mhm.
I love my community where I grew up. I love
Yeah.
Kunupia.
I was just
Um,
about to ask, where did you grow up? Okay.
yeah, I grew up Kunupia, which is central Trinidad. It's kind of in
Okay.
Shogunas. Um,
Okay. I've heard of
that
there.
definitely
Familiar.
inspires. It inspires who I am
Mm-hmm.
because our community is a mix. I think it's one of the communities that is a complete mix of
Oh.
Indo Trinidad and Afro
Mhm.
Trinidad. I
Okay.
I was raised on a street where my neighbors were Indians, and I
Mhm.
was highly like the popular music on the street was chutney soca
Ah,
music.
I love chutney.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in it. So I like Lady Lava. We know Lady Lava. She grew up
Mhm.
in our community, so we
Oh,
were
wow.
around that balance and that mix. So
Yeah.
I totally understand the East Indian culture, and of course, being black. So I think that inspires a lot of who I am, and
Mhm.
my relatability to the cultures of Trinidad and Tobago.
I love that. Okay, two more. So, Grenadian Soca was very big in Trinidad this year. So, what are your I'm not going to ask you to name one because that's hard. What are your maybe top 3 favorite Grenadian Soca songs right now?
Um, Blacker Than, um, he had a song this year called Loki that did well in
Oh, okay.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite ones. Also, of course, Muddy, um, Backpack, and then
Yes,
Lil
payroll.
Kerry. Lil Kerry had a good
Yes.
one
Oh,
too.
yes.
So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
off the bat it would be those three. And if I have to
Those
call
3,
out
yeah.
a fourth one would be Job
Yeah.
Decisions.
Okay, yeah.
And Terra.
Yes. Those
Yeah,
were
yeah.
definitely like the
Yeah.
main
The main,
songs
yeah.
this
Those were
year.
the ones that really
Yeah.
crossed over and made an impact. Yeah, from Grenada.
Yeah, and I love how Trinidad just embraced them. Like that was just so amazing to watch,
Yeah,
for
yeah, for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Okay, last question, and I think this is going to be hard, but it could also be really good. What is one word that you would use to describe soca?
One word.
Mhm.
Hmm. Wow.
I know. I
One word.
know. It's so good. Like it's so good, but it's so hard.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Beautiful.
Amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of what it could do for you mentally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm, so true. Okay, so this is a part of the show where I do my thank you. And I say it every episode because I don't want anyone saying I didn't say it to them, but nobody with the crying, so you have to hold it like a G. So wow, I think I learned so much about you. I know there's so much more, so you'll have to come back for sure. But I learned so much about you, so much about the songs, a lot of the songs that I love. And I love the fact that this can be a platform where other persons learn more about you and learn about the sacrifices that you've made and just what you've been through in order to create just this music that we love and that we can relate to. So, first of all, I'll be the first to tell you thank you for that because I know, as Buja Banton said, it's not an easy road.
Yeah.
But, you continue to do it. And all of us that listen to your music appreciate that. But I think what stands out for me in listening to your story is how intentionally you carry your experiences in your music, right? Like you really think about it. You really think about the things that you've been through and how you could use them to help others, rather than just help yourself, really.
Yeah.
And I think that through your music, you remind us that soca is not just sound, it's really storytelling, resilience, and joy that all exist within the same space, but there is emotional depth to it. It's not just jump and wave, it's not just carnival time. It's just as special as any other genre of music. And I think that you are one of the persons that are going to help it get the recognition that it so deserves. So thank you so much for, all the work that you've done, and for showing us that rhythm can be healing, and that soca music is something that is very healing for people,
Yeah.
and you're a part of that. So I hope that you feel good about the work that you've done. I'm so happy you quit your job, because because if you didn't, we wouldn't. Maybe we would have a tubs of the music, because you did
Yes.
try to do a little Clark
Yeah.
Kent thing and put on your cape and thing, but we wouldn't have the first thing. So big up, Mr. Killa, anyway you're there, because
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
wasn't for him, and I'm glad you gave him that recognition. It was lovely having you, and yeah, coming to talk the things with us.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the platform.
Of
Yeah, we definitely
course.
will chat again. And all the best with every
Make we
endeavor.
have a
And I
time,
had fun,
Oh, thank
and
you.
happy that
Great.
people could see a different side of who I am.